Welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, having a discussion with Peter Menzies. He's now a senior fellow at the Macdonald Laurier Institute. Peter, want to change tack a little bit. Obviously, there's a big debate going on, and we are going to get onto the Online Streaming Act and online harms bills and other things in a moment. But firstly, obviously, if misinformation is rampant, and maybe you want to comment whether it is or isn't, but if it is, what's the responsibility of journalism within this context? Do they have a higher responsibility, or is it the same responsibility to report the facts on the ground? Give us your point of view on the theoretical framework.
Yeah, it's their responsibility to report the facts as they see them, and what they can confirm and what they can't confirm, and make that clear to the reader. You know, that so and so says this and so says that. That's always a difficult situation. I've dealt with it. I mean, in the past, where you get one party says the sky is blue, the other party says the sky is green. Right, like one of them's not telling the truth, right? So your job is to go deeper. So when you hear journalists say we need to have more than two sides, this two-sidesism, which often comes from political coverage, the liberals say this, the conservatives say that. I agree with that. You got to find somebody, but you don't do that by writing yourself into the story, or writing your own point of view into the story and deciding for the reader what is true. You do that by working harder. You do that by phoning other people who are experts in the field and say that. I used to, have a phrase that would say, you could have a story where one guy says the moon is made of blue cheese and counter it with another guy saying the moon is made of green cheese. And all you have is a story that's full of nonsense. That is and lies and untruths. So it takes digging, it takes hard work, and it takes a real dedication to producing objective work, and understanding in that process that none of us can be individually truly objective. But if you know that, I think you can produce objective work, or at least come close. And if you're trying, people will trust you.
It's the aspiration. I get it. You mentioned a good point about digging for more facts or counter facts or what have you. Again, are we missing something out of journalism school? Are they not taught to dig deeper? Or tell me what you're seeing out of young journalists these days.
I'm kind of I don't see it directly. But I hear from editors who are managing young journalists like that. And, one sort of said to me recently, they all, and this was his words, not mine, but he says, all these kids, they come out and they think they want their first job on Parliament Hill, right? Why don't you go to Grand Prairie and work at the paper there and cover the Chamber of Commerce meetings and get your stuff down, because they all think they want to change the world, but none of them could cover a motel fire if their life depended on it, right? So that indicates to me that journalism school is maybe operating at too high a level. I don't think of myself, I never thought of journalism as a profession, and I don't think it should be even taught that way. It's a craft, it's a trade, and it's a noble craft and a noble trade. And I think it has certain fundamentals that a person has to apply themselves to. And so I think, I know I hear more and more from people who say, I'm never going to hire somebody from a journalism school. I'd rather train them myself.
Interesting. So that's an option for some of these maybe new media, perhaps, that they've got a broader range of people that they can possibly attract.
Yeah, I mean, you find somebody you can trust, find somebody who's smart, keen, willing to learn. I mean, has some expertise in something. I mean, I always thought it would be easier to hire somebody who was, who was an economist and teach them how to write. It's a lot easier to teach an economist how to write than it is to teach economics to somebody who's a journalist, whose training is only in journalism and writing, for instance. So there's a blend, and I think people should pursue it. But I think, to be fair to journalists, though, too, a lot of them, the orders they're getting these days are, we'll cover this, give me 6 paragraphs on this, and then tweet this out, and then post this
Right.
on Threads, right? And then I need you to go over
Good
here.
point.
So they never get the chance to get the depth in it, and then guys like me beat them up for it, which probably isn't fair.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a very good point. Listen, we're going to take another break. We'll shift gears after these messages.